This is what we are trying to replicate it, right? How it works. Is every time they're asking. Just give me a second. So yesterday, if you remember, we have created this, right? demo vault source. So for this, we were talking about adding policies, right? So we can add keys as well as the policies. So mainly, yesterday we discussed about the how to add a different role here, grant access role wise, and all we discussed right yesterday. If you take any, how to say, service, so take Azure service. How can we manage this? By using some roles, right? Which is the role is role-based access, right? Role-based access control. And you have different roles, right? Contributor, owner, or the reader, all those things, right? So similarly, we have keys and secret keys, secrets. This will be always a combination of URL with REST APIs, right? This is what we discussed. So as part of that, this is the grant access to this resource by adding the roles. See here, these are the different roles. We'll talk about this, right? That's the access policies. So when you create an access policy, the roles, whatever was there in the previous screen, will get displayed here. Let's say if you select the permissions at the policies, access policy for the keys and secrets, then automatically there will be a predefined template which will be selected. These are the permissions you will get as part of this template, right? So I'm going with the default one. If requirement is only for the keys and secrets, select only that. Automatically the certificates will not be. Similar way, whatever based on your requirement, you select whatever you want. So now here we need to select a principal, right? What is principal actually? Let's say you have your server. Assume that this is a web application. Web app. And you have your vault here. This is your vault. And this is your Azure AD. Your Active Directory, and this is your vault. So if the application has to request access to a vault, yesterday I have seen, right? So they need few things. One is, what is it? Key and the secret. So automatically when they request directly vault, they will not get the response because it will not identify whatever the request you are sending. Ultimately, when you send a token to this, then only the vault will validate and it will send back, right? So you need Azure AD to generate the token. So ultimately, you need to send your application. I mean, the web application or the requester, you can say. This is the requester. Requester, right? So he has to send a request to Azure AD. Azure AD will validate your initial request and it will generate a token which will be validated again in the vault. So for this, if it is a user level, that is okay. We can add users and that specific user can send a request. It will be there in the database. Of course, you need to give the permission here in the Azure AD. Assume that if the requester is not a user, it is an application, right? In that case, we need these principles. So we can add multiple users for that. Maybe after some time we'll understand better. For now, let's consider that if it is not a user, if the requester is application level, the policies will help. Okay, we don't have any policy here, right? So let us create a principal. I'll open one more session under the Azure AD. This is nothing but don't get confused too much. So this principle is nothing but, yesterday I was explaining the service account, right? Just to simplify, service account, services. So we were checking yesterday some .NET, ASP.NET stat services, right? For this is the service account. So you can just, a replica of service account is nothing but a principle here. You can just correlate with that. Okay. So if you want to give permissions for, I mean, if you want to execute application through service account, using that service account, see, you can add users for the principles. But whereas if you want to execute or run your application through service account, using that service account, we need to contact here. That service account will go and contact Vault. It may not identify that. For that, again, you need to give permission for that service account, right? Are you getting?
Bhaskar, you mean to say these service accounts will be created in Azure AD only, right?
That is Azure AD. Azure AD is active directories here. So here you have users, right? The users can be added directly to that application. Similarly, what you have, if we go here, there will be app registrations here. So you need to register here one app. So if you create a new app here, app registration, if you are done with the app registration, that app will be available here to provide. Right now, the default ones are coming. Let us create one here. New app registration. Let's say you key vault some app. So I'm not doing anything here. I'm just registering an application here. And who can access accounts in this organization directly? Whoever is there in this, they can access this. I'm just registering this app. What is the name? You just take this. And if you come here, search for this. Here, you got that. So add this. Next. Next. Create. Along with my user, I will get my app also, application also now. See here. Right? I was telling, right? So it's all with the a combination of users or the service account. This is nothing but a service account. Now, if you see here, I can run this application using my user or a service account. Similarly, here to communicate or to access the Vault and Azure AD, we have created a application. Using that application, which is nothing but a kind of service account, we can request your information, the secret information, right? So now application is there. You click on this. See, again, application got so many access controls here. Key level, he has the full permission. Secret level, he has the full permission. Certificate level, these many are there. Like this, we can create your service accounts, and using that service account also, I'll talk about that. What is the another advantage of having these service accounts, right? This basically a application level rather than the user level. If something has to be requested through the application, the service accounts are very required. Is it clear or any doubt in this? There is something called managed identity. I'll explain maybe after a few minutes. Probably you'll understand better of this one application. What is the advantage of this? So keyword here, come here. You can see here, right? So now, if you see here, if you want to get this, if you want to request authentication or the keys, basically you want to access keys, you need two things. One is you need user or the developer will be shared with the client ID and a secret. So this guy will have a application ID. You see here, this is the application ID. For every service account, you will have application ID or client ID. The combination of this client ID or application ID and a secret here. New client secret. So for any client, so this is the client ID. The combination of this client ID and the secret for that client, user can request a token. Now let's say add a client secret, something you can. Demo. Add. So ideally, this only admins can see this. So ideally, we need to share this secret ID and the client ID so that he can send a request with the combination of these two to Azure directory, and he will Azure directory AD will generate a token and send it to the user or the developer, right? Like this, we can generate a keys and application ID and the combination of secret ID and give it to the users, developers, basically, right? We can also create secrets, basically, keys and secrets. So using those keys and secrets, again, there are certain, what do you say, restrictions again to generate keys and secrets. This is where this role, where is this? This one. There will be a key vault owner, and there will be another person who can also become a owner to generate keys and secrets. So this guy, other than the owner, even this guy can generate your keys and secrets, and those keys and secrets can be shared to the apps or the users. Basically, this will be through URL, right? So the REST APIs. So we can share this information to the applications. We'll show that how to generate. Here, go to keys. We can generate a key here. Generate a key or import key. I'm going with the default one. I don't want name like, let's say, my database password. Okay, and create it. Here, this I hope you know, right? What is the 2048? There is a key size. Based on this key, the complication will be more. Default, most of the time we will use 2048. If you select more, if the information is very critical, maybe you can go with the higher value, so that it is very difficult to decrypt if you go with the higher values, right? Enable it. Set proc tags. Rest all default you can create, not an issue. So my key is created. You cannot see what the value I have provided here. So this is only through the keys. Similarly, you can create your secrets. Generate a secret. Again, give some name. I just want to show something, so that's why I'm just secret value you can enter something and create it. But as an admin, I can see this secret value. Click on this here. Show the secret value. This is my password. But whereas key, nowhere you can see that. You have to use that random value. You cannot see this. See here. Nowhere, I don't have any option to see this key value. This is the URL. Key identifier is URL. This is what I was talking about. Only through URLs, people can, or the applications can access. You don't have option to see this. But again, remember the statement I was telling yesterday, one statement, right? A contributor who can manage the key vault. This is the key vault, right? This is my key vault, right? Service. He cannot perform operations. What kind of operations? The keys and the secrets management on this key vault, unless and until he become the contributor to that, right? Now, if you see, there is my access policy. I am the admin. I am the contributor for this. I am the admin. Basically, I am the user. If I am not part of this, I cannot see my secrets here. This will not appear. Even if I am the owner, I should be a part of this access policies. If I delete from here, I won't have access, though I am the owner for this. So like that, you have to manage this. Is it clear how to create keys and secrets and how to add members, all those things? I will maybe manage identity will give a better idea. So what is this? I'll explain here. Let's say this is your application. This is your application. Web server, basically. Web server, right? And you have your, this is your Azure AD, and just to differentiate, this is your key vault. Azure Active Directory. This is your my application, you can say. Now you have user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, n number of users. Ultimately, user will request access for your web server, right? This guy also will request, this guy also will request. It can be n number of users. They will request access. Web server will send a request to key vault. Where are the information stored? In my key vault. But if I send a request directly to my key vault, I will not get the information what I want, right? My secret key information, I will not get it. For that, I need to depend on my Azure AD. So for this, what we have done is all these circles, what I just now explained. So we have created a policy under Azure AD. This is what we have created, key vault demo app, the service, right? Basically, we have registered that. For this, we have added for my key vault. This is the application, right? Key vault demo. The combination you're trying to get, right? So by passing the combination of that secret and the application ID, it will generate a token. Then it will send those token to key vault. Then my key vault will generate the access key. Then it will be accessed by multiple users, right? Is it clear? I'll show this. This is what we have done. The same thing, whatever we have created using through GUI, right? Azure Portal, all services, key vault we have added. And we have created an Active Directory, new application registration is done. That application we have linked to this. This is one way of that. And same thing can be done using PowerShell command also, right? These are the options how to use that. is this? Just give me a sec. Oh, data. If you see here, managed identity, can you see here? Oh. Managed identities. So there is something called managed identities. So why we need this? I'll talk about that here using this. Let's say this is web server. Assume that you have an issue here by doing this. If anyone knows this, the combination of is this secret ID, sorry, secret plus the client ID. The client ID. If someone assume that there is a third person, this is another server or system, this guy knows the value of this, whatever it is, the secret key and this. Even from this server, he can send a request. He will get back the token. He is basically an unauthorized person. But for some reason, if he knows this secret value and the client ID, because this is visible, right? So he can request, he can get the token, and this guy can send the token to key vault, and he can get back the key value, secret value. So this is not safe actually. To overcome this issue, so we need to use a concept of managed identity. There was one document. Just give me a sec. Is this clear, this concept? How the access will be requested and how the users will get the required information? If you at least understand this theoretically,
Bhaskar, yeah, I have one
I
doubt.
can explain that.
Bhaskar, I have one doubt. This
What again?
Azure AD will generate token for this user, right? That service account. Azure AD will generate tokens, right? Hello? Hello? Bhaskar?
Yeah, you are audible. Sounds good.
Yeah, I think Bhaskar is, we lost Bhaskar. I think.
Bhaskar, we are not audible.
Bhaskar, we are not audible. Hello? We are not able to hear you.
Sorry, I think I was on mute and talking. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Bhaskar, I was asking
Hello?
one question actually. Hello?
Hello? Anand, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Somsekhar asked one question, Bhaskar, regarding the service accounts.
Oh, what happened? I'm not
Hello,
able to
Bhaskar?
hear you guys. Maybe that's why.
Hello.
Shit.
Hello, Bhaskar.
Yeah, I can hear you guys now. Till now, I don't know. I didn't hear anyone.
Okay, no issues. Actually, I have one question. In this key vault concept, as we discussed, right? So this AD will be Azure AD will be responsible for generating the tokens to authenticate with key vault, right?
Right.
Okay.
So generally, what happens if you see here, which is the one we generated just now. So generally, Azure AD will generate that secret key, and it will have a client ID, right, for application. Here, if you see, so for that combination, we had a client ID. For that client ID, we have generated a secret. With these two combinations, the web server can request a token.
Okay.
So for that, to generate these combinations, we need Azure AD.
Okay.
Without those two, again, these two are linked, your Azure AD and Key Vault, because these two, whatever the token it is generated, that will be validated again in the Key Vault. That's why we have linked that. Here. This Key Vault, this is the application, right? That whatever we have generated, this application that is linked to my vault. Now with this combination, it will validate. The problem here is, if you know that secret ID and secret value on the client ID, even from the unauthorized server, I can request that key. That is not safe. To overcome that, there is something called managed identity. System assigned identity. There are two things. One is system assigned identity, another one is user assigned identity. I'll talk about that. What is the difference, system assigned and user assigned? So generally, for a single server, let's say you have single server. I assume that this is not there. This guy. Or legally it is happening. Like this, there will be n number of servers, right? Generally, application will be there, will be deployed in maybe hundreds of servers. So I cannot go and do the same exercise for every application, like what we did here, the combination of these two. So for this, what we have to do, if it is one server, that is okay. We can manage it. If it is there are hundreds of servers, then it is really difficult to manage those things. In that case, what we have to do, so there is that. One of these two we need to select based on your requirement, whether it is system assigned identity you need or user assigned identity you need, whichever you want, based on your requirement. If the only one or two servers, we can go with that system assigned. If it is multiple servers are there, then we have to go with the user assigned. Okay. Another thing is, let's say all these things, whatever it is, the servers, if as long as this is in my Azure, I don't have any problem. It will work everything as it is. Otherwise, assume that you have a virtual machine outside, which is not there in Azure. This concept will not work again. So you need to depend on the secret key and client ID. Using that only you need to work. So maybe you have to go with the different to all services are there. Here we are mainly talking about Azure Key Vault.
Bhaskar, like, can we use Azure Key Vault for on-premises servers?
Yes, we can. That's what I'm saying. This is a VM. Assume that this is a VM.
Okay, on premises. Okay.
Yeah, this
So,
is a VM. This is not in Azure.
how they will connect to Azure AD?
Using the secret client and key, client ID and secret key.
Okay, okay, okay.
So you have to depend on that one. We are using actually on premises also. So ultimately, now what I was talking about is here what we have. This secret key and client ID, you have to store it in somewhere, right? Every time you cannot keep. Somewhere you will store this value in config file, right? Right? Basically the application and secret. So if it is in configuration, of course, there are a number of users who will have access for that system. Maybe some other user can easily get this information from the config file. To overcome this, I was talking about that. What is that? Remove this concept itself. So go with the Azure identity, manage identity. Sorry. So using this concept, we can avoid this itself. And like how we have registered an application, we can create similarly. Is it clear? Just to avoid that security issue again within the server. Maybe there will be a QA team who will access this. Maybe the other UI team who will access this, who can have access to this server because they might be working on the same project or the same company. But one of the other way, if they get access, they can check the configuration file. They'll come to know that.
The web.config, I mean, like configuration, they declare all these app settings like
for automations. Yes, you need to use those URLs. Right.
So in order to overcome that,
we'll use this concept, manage identity. This is nothing but again, in the Azure AD, we will create a group, basically, the service kind of thing. Then that will be used here instead of using the direct, which is like URL, where they cannot find the secret value of and the client ID. They cannot find it. Only for on-premises, you have to depend on this. What is managed identity? System assigned identity. A system assigned managed identity enables Azure resources to authenticate to cloud services. Right? What is resource? A resource can be anything, right? So there are so many resources. There is a resource group actually. We have created multiple resources. We talked about it, right? It can be a VM, it can be a app service, it can be anything, right? So example, Azure Key Vault we just created. So where we have the information in Azure Key Vault without storing the credentials in code. That's what I was talking about. Without storing these credentials, that secret and client ID, without storing in the config files, using this system assigned identity, without storing credentials in the code. Once enabled, all necessary permissions can be granted via Azure role-based access control. The lifecycle of this type of managed identity is tied to the lifecycle of these resources. Additionally, each resource, like any resource that can be an app service, it can be VM, can only have one system assigned managed identity. The system to system. Basically, what happens? Assume this third-party system. Who knows? That's what I'm saying. By seeing the config files, if someone tries, then it will not be in a safe, right? So for that, it is linked to system. Even if you know the secret key ID, again this is linked to this specific system. Assume that this is system 1. Even if you try the same value with the secret key and client ID with some other system number 2, again it will be a mismatch. It will not accept. Okay, it is linked to a system level. That is the system assigned identity. Again, similarly, user assigned identity also is there. User assigned managed identities enables Azure resource to authenticate to cloud services. Same thing like Azure Cloud without storing. Same again, the story is same. Only difference is this type of managed identities are created as standalone Azure resources and have their own life cycle. It is nothing to do with the specific system. right? A single resource, example VM, can utilize multiple user assigned managed identities. Similarly, like how we have added here, instead of that user level, you can add multiple users. When you create, you can add user level instead of adding that. Again, same thing, how to create. Example one to demonstrate. Create a VM with the identity, just steps, that's all, right? Create a key value and a secret, like what we have done. And select that access policies and click on add new. This is the same thing, what we have to do. This is, whereas if it is outside, where is that? If it is a VM, how to do that?
Bhaskar,
Yes.
even when you are encrypting the application, which is absolutely utilizing the keyboard or any client ID secret in the configuration file, and other VM is trying to connect. It's a unique only, right? Keyboard, I mean, secret and client ID should be it's once another. It's cannot able to access, right? The other VM.
No, we cannot,
Even
because it is
Azure
system bound.
indicates
System
like that.
bound.
That's what.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So
System specific.
system specific. Yeah. So
Yes.
even you are checking the configuration, seeing the secret and the client ID,
Right.
it will fail on Azure AD itself because unique will be generated secret and client ID for individual system.
Correct. It will fail. Can you see managed identities somewhere here? So create a managed identity. Here. So you need to select one resource group, demo resource group again. What is that? Demo managed identity, you can say. Review and create it. That's all. You can create like this managed identity. Just a second to create. Again, under the Azure portal, there is another service managed identities. You can add those things and give this in our vault, like how we are at app. Deployment succeed. Go to resource. This is my again, whatever you want, select it. Yeah, we got that demo managed identity. Add it. Next, create it. That's all. So now I got my managed identity also here. So what is the advantage? Instead of doing for one like that, you can have n number of servers, system level also you can manage. Is it clear? So we'll talk about IaaS, infrastructure. Infrastructure as a code, we'll see IaaS. So till now, what we have seen, we seen how to create a pipelines, how to integrate, how to deploy and into a app service or anything, right? Yeah, or whatever it is. So now, what is ISC? Infrastructure as a code. See, every time, what if you remember in few situations, I was talking about every time you need to configure your what is it, VM or the resource basically, right? So the IAC is nothing but generating the required infrastructure dynamically on demand. This is very, very useful these days because you really, let's say you are executing your, what do you say, you are developing application for 1 month and you will be testing it maybe after a month, right? So for that, do we really need to maintain your infrastructure 1 month before when you start your application development? Not required, right? Whenever it is ready, then on that moment, you can create the required infrastructure and test it or deploy or whatever the purpose you want, right? So the IAC will help you in that scenario to generate your or the create infrastructure dynamically, right? What is ISC? Infrastructure as a code. Infrastructure as a code enables you to describe through code the infrastructure that you need for your application. We will use specifically how using ARM templates. These days, the ARM templates are actually very powerful in doing this. Of course, there are multiple options like Terraform. Terraform is also quite popular these days to deploy or to create that environments. So, but in this particular session, we will concentrate only on the ARM templates. We'll cover others in later sessions. Okay. So infrastructure as a code enables you to maintain both your application code and everything you need to deploy your application in a central code repository, right? In that repository, you can build, test, and deploy as a unit. Let's say, once you create your template, assume that your entire life cycle or whatever the thing we have done in this earlier sessions, right? Starting from checking in code and creating pipelines, all those things, the complete thing until the test. If testing is done, sorry, the development is done, then the same template can be used to run the untest it in the testing environment. The same thing can be used in deployment. So there will be different environments, right? Like QA environment, production, pre-production, all those things. So everywhere we can reuse those templates and you can save the time. So basically, whatever we have done till now, like building, testing, deployment, all those things by using the pipelines, all those things, we can do this by using the templates. Your infrastructure and configuration code is stored in version control along with the application code. You will have lots of more wall space for it. So you will get advantages. So if you use this, what are the consistent configurations? Assume that if you do it manually, so there is a high possibility of making mistakes or missing some step, right? Whereas if you define your template and keep it, so you can use the same template, right? So there is a very less possibility of missing something, right? So your configuration is consistent when you use IaaS and improved scalability. So automatically it will improve the scalability, right? And you can do this in faster deployments also. No need to rework and no need to sit and do manually many things. So your template is ready, just reuse it. So it will go like in clicks. Less documentation because the scripts replace it. So most of the time, the scripts will take care of that and better traceability, right? These are the advantages by using the ISC, infrastructure as a code. The infrastructure as a code is a best practice in DevOps because it helps bring teams together. Now, if you want to do the complete cycle, there are multiple teams who will involve, right? So now if you use this infrastructure as a code, there is a single template where we will work together, and there is a high possibility of minimizing the dependency issues, right? So we will always work together by following this model. What tools? Azure CLI, you can do this using the CLI model, and we can also do this using the PowerShell. But we'll, as I said, we will mainly focus for this session on ARM templates, Azure Resource Manager templates, and we can also do this using Terraform, Azure SDK, and Ansible. You can write using Azure SDK, and Ansible also is used. Is it clear? What is the advantage of what is ISC? Infrastructure as a code is simple. Instead of doing things manually, just on demand, first initially you generate your ARM templates, using those templates, you create your environment and complete the required actions.
But Bhaskar, basically in real time, where now we are using, like you said earlier, ARM template is very old template JSON format. Nowadays, very less. Nowadays they are using Terraforms, right, Bhaskar?
It depends. See, especially when you are working with Azure, you are in Azure Cloud.
Okay.
Definitely ARM is suggested because a lot of inbuilt functions are there, right?
If it is AWS other than Azure,
if others, most of the time you can use Terraform is widely used as far as my knowledge. Yes, Terraform also is using. This is another one I forgot, which is the Python based. That is also getting popular these days. I forgot his name. It's like other teams are using. Okay, I'll tell that. Along with Terraform, there is one more which is actually more customizable one. You can customize using the Python scripts basically. If your project something related to Pythons, even if using Python script, you can. There is one more. I'll tell. I forgot that name.
Okay, that is completely on Python script only, right?
Other tool is that. Yeah, I forgot. I'll tell you tomorrow session. I forgot. Class teams are using it. Okay. So we will talk about that, how to use ARM template and what are the advantages of ARM templates. Resource provider is very, very important actually for this to use this. Each resource provider offers a set of resources and operations. Basically, there are n number of resources. If you see in Azure portal, right, there are n number of templates basically. Go to Azure portal. Create a resource, you say. See, these are all resources, different categories, right? DevOps is a resource, database is a resource, container is a resource, compute is a resource. Again, within containers or anything you take, these are the different services available within that resource. These are the resources which are supported by Azure, right? This is very important here. That's what else. Resource provider. These are the resources and different services. There are a number of resources, right? Each resource provider offers a set of resources and operations for working with Azure services. If you want to store keys and secrets, we have seen already this, right? Vault, Azure Key Vault, right? See here, Microsoft.Key Vault resource provider. There are like this. There are one second. I'm getting a call. Hello. Hello, sorry, I was getting continuously. So we'll talk about that. What are the different these things and how to create the templates and how to use those templates. Using those templates, how to deploy all those things in different areas like testing area, staging area, production area, all those things. And what are the different advantages of doing this? How can we integrate these things? The steps basically we can run parallel, and we can change the order if you want based on what you say, the requirement or the urgency. You can change those things. There are many advantages. We'll talk about that in next session. Okay, we'll talk about ISC in next session. What are the different resources, resource services, or there are different providers basically. We can check all those things, and if it is not registered, how can we register all those things? Okay.
Bhaskar?
Yes.
Yeah, regarding that, sorry, last previous session, like which managed provider, the key was secret client ID. So that's one confusion is there for me. Like you said, on premises where these are managed provider, managed identity, which is an on premises where the server can be authenticate secret and client ID accessing the AD.
Right.
I'm confusing in that how the secret and client ID can access in on premises to, let's say, if any secret and client ID can be authenticated, like the configuration.
Simple. Don't get confused. Simple. Whatever I show you. Where is this? Here. So where did we create that? This is my vault, right? Now we have created a app service for this, right? Go to access policies. This is what my app service which we have created, correct? Demo app, key vault demo app. So what I told was to the connection and the sync between all these things will work only if your environment is linked to your Azure. Assume that if your environment is not linked to your Azure, you need to depend on, where is that client ID and the secret key only. If it is on premises, it's all. Using those two combination only, you have to request your access.
Secret and client ID is only for on premises, and you were saying
the client ID and the secret, with these two values, the combination of these two, by using these two, even on premises can get the values.
Okay.
Maybe you will understand better. Probably I will try to show in one of the scenarios when we talk about our Jenkins or something. One scenario will come. So that time you will understand. Yeah, this is a bit complicated even for I myself will get confused initially a couple of times. Right.